Immaculata Conceptio est Mori, Sancte Mariae
There's chocolate back there. Anybody needs chocolate? I love chocolate, even if you don't need it.
Oh, see.
Yeah. But I'm not going back to the so I have to do I know.
No, they're in the library. So I put them all over there. Take one of these ones. We're going to start soon though, and they'll be there for a while.
All right. No worries. You do praise me. No.
I wasn't really kind of.
That's what
What are you talking about? That's just that bar.
Okay, welcome everyone.
Morning prayer and then we'll have brunch.
Everybody's almost here.
Brunch is usually
Yeah, I think we can get started.
All right, so let us pray. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Almighty God, we come before you as Dominicans, preachers, as Catholics, and we pray in the words that you have taught us. Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
give us this day our daily bread,
And forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation,
but
but deliver us from evil.
Amen. St. Dominic,
Pray
in
for
the name
us.
of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Hope St. Rhiannon of Penniforth.
Pray for
for
us.
us.
Thank you, Father.
Great mug, where'd you get it?
At the St. Dominic store.
How much was it?
That's right.
Are they really good?
Got a few more yet, just come in there. Get started.
Isn't that exciting? If we need scissors, I got you. I got a little case, yeah. Look at, I got refills, I got staples, I got little sharps. This is my stapler.
I know.
And it has a refill too. We won't run out. We won't run out.
Well, we got the pen.
Yeah, I'm using my bottle. If you need a sharpener, I got
All right, everyone, listen.
I think we have everybody here, or nearly everybody. One of the things I want to say, I don't know if you know, I'm subscribed to St. Dominic's online, the Liturgy of the Hours, myself. on YouTube. And every morning, well, it's after 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock this time, it gives me notice that it's going to start. So you can go to YouTube, St. Mark's, or St. Dominic's in San Francisco, or you can join in morning prayer. Their schedule is Monday through Friday at 7:15 a.m. Pacific time. Evening prayers at 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and evening prayer only on Saturday and Sunday at 4:45. It's a way of creating community for the society that we live, that we're engaged in. And so I invite, Vicki was kind enough to remind me of that and reminded me that I'm subscribed to that as well.
The Dominican lady run it.
Oh, the Dominican laity run it too.
Live stream team.
And,
Right here.
Vicki,
More closings? No, you know what? Wait a minute. Some people were taking the camera, you know, EWTN or something, and going up on like a prior stage, and it's like, no, this isn't, it's not about people. It's about the tabernacle. Like, you don't have to, you just, if you're at home watching St. Dominic, you want to see the whole sanctuary. I don't want to do a split screen thing and you don't see the tabernacle.
I agree because
I guess
Dominic.
It's not about-
I guess on the volume, I had to turn the volume all the way up.
Oh, the volume is
Okay,
Oh, that's a good response.
Okay, I'll take this,
I'll yell.
I'll take this to
Vicki,
I was gonna say, if you stay on after office and morning prayer, it's the daily mass. And so every day you can get a homily, like wonderful homilies, like Father Michael,
Early.
Michael early, but Michael's
Sherwin.
sweet.
Sherwin.
Sherwin is there now. Who's the moral theologian from the Angelicum. And his homilies this past week have been really nice. The other plug I want to have is because the psalms are chanted, so you get to know the psalm tones and sort of the rhythm of going back and forth. It makes it fun.
that is a great idea, Vicki.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing it to my attention. And so, did you hear all that? Okay. That's fantastic. That's probably one of the really valuable information coming from Idaho, because we have no such thing anywhere near there. But that's the reality. The thing that we're going to do next is the governance issues. We've done the reports, now the governance. And at this point, before we move into I want to take some moments before we move into the particular directory. I want you to grab the bylaws. If you have them in your packet, your pamphlet, and it looks something like, it says across the top, bylaws of Western Dominican Lay Provincial Council, Inc. And I tried to, when these were drafted, is to plug these into the statutes conforming to the PD and to the rule. To give you an example of that is Article 4, officers. The officers and councilors of the Executive Council should be elected, assume office, and perform such duties as provided in accordance with the statutes, and the statutes are defined as the rule, particular directory, and these bylaws. Just to let you know, it's a corporate document that is fit in hand in glove with those other items I'm trying to explain. And I think I went through the reasoning behind this in the past, but I'm open to questions or comments. But I'd like a motion to adopt these bylaws to, David?
Yeah, I move that council adopt.
Okay, motion to move to adopt the bylaws. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Richie. Okay, it's open for discussion.
Was it
David, no. Logan, you have a question?
One really good question, because I noticed you said the rule, the directory, and its statutes and its implications or something, but you mentioned the general declaration.
Yes, those are mentioned in here, I believe. Hold on just a second. Good question. statutes are defined in here.
I was trying to find the definition before asking.
What are you looking for?
The mention of the general declaration from the master.
Oh, yeah, it's in the language part. It's on page 6.
Article 6 or page 6?
Page 6.
Now,
Page 5. Where it says general declarations. That's what you're looking for?
That's what I'm saying.
what he's asking is there a place where the statutes include the general declarations?
Yeah, it does. It says about it. It says statutes.
Okay.
It says, and the articles of incorporation by law.
Okay, there we go.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
Just a note, there are 2 typos.
We'll have, you mean on the bylaws?
Yes.
Okay, tell me where they are.
So Article 3, subsection
3, subsection 2.
2nd from the last sentence at the bottom, therefore should have an E. This is I grade a lot of paper, so it's embarrassing. I know, so therefore should have an E.
It's
And-
because it came before.
Yeah, therefore.
Because otherwise, therefore is correctly spelled if it comes after.
Right, so it should have an E.
All right.
And then after that, B, his or her designee shall be an ex officio with an N.
Hold on. You said G or E?
No, it's
So B,
B.
B,
Oh, yeah.
You didn't say that.
shall be an,
yours in the italics.
before the italicized ex officio, should be an, A-N, ex officio.
What's the first one there?
I apologize.
I'm looking at Article 3, Section 2, you said E.
B, as in boy.
Boy, banana,
Banana.
baby.
Okay,
And
thank you.
I feel sorry for being pedantic, but
Thank you. Anything else?
I didn't see any other typos.
Thank you for looking at it. Franklin?
I have one more. Article 6.
Article 6.
So, where does the library first fall?
Well, we're spendthrifts on the 31st. You know, that's one of the problems in using forms. Sharon, you had a comment? Thank you, Frank.
Question, are we not going to be the Lake Provincial Council and not chapter? I mean, are we gonna just keep using chapter and council interchangeably?
Well, this will need to be changed, but it might be at the discretion of this LPC, because just as Vicki said, are we going to have to change anything? We probably will. But this was filed in April of last year.
Right, I figured it was, but I just want to make sure that if we're going to change it to council, that.
Are you asking me to be consistent?
And so, did you say that the LPC means Lake Provincial Chapter?
No, Lake Provincial
The
Council will
name,
be adopted.
we're looking at this.
Oh,
She's saying council, which is, and I appreciate Sharon, and I cross the same, they cross my mind too.
Okay.
So I'm really giving you a hard time.
No worries.
Fraternity?
Fraternity.
Yeah, well, things, you know. It's not that, it's,
people, and we're the people
How about Lake
of the
Provincial
chapter.
Committee?
no, let's do this.
Etc.
David, you had an idea for a motion. For the bylaws, could you express that motion, not for the particular directory this time, maybe later, but for this?
And by way of background, my name is Dave Shanefeld, and I'm the prior to Thomas Aquinas College chapter, where I'm otherwise known as Brother Catherine. I have no gender problem, so don't worry about it. I have a worse problem. I'm a lawyer. Which makes me read these things carefully and like Sharon too. So great for you. Not quite an educator, don't worry, we can get deeper if you want to. But I have thought of this, and I was privileged to be involved in the part of the drafting of the provincial directory. And let me tell you, it's an extraordinary work. It involved an enormous amount of time. And it did not come out like most committee drafts, which would be a giraffe, as they say, where you're trying to fit all these parts. It was an amazingly good and intelligent experience to try and take a lot of material and put it in organized fashion, which hadn't been done yet. So this was the first attempt at it. And normally, in a process like this, the committee creates a draft, just like these bylaws, submits it to you, and you say, yay or nay, unless you find nits here or there, and then in which case you write them down and try and make them. My suggestion is this, and it applies, I was thinking this primarily for the directory, but I see now it also applies to the bylaws. Because if, while all of these suggestions are good for the bylaws, they will come in spades and in days if we take the time to do that for the directory. And I don't think that's what we want, any of you want to do, is to crawl in the weeds and start looking at semicolons and rephrasing things. But my motion would be this, is to vest the drafting committee with authority to make non-substantive editorial changes to either of these documents. Also a measure of trust, because I just use that word substantive, but I think that you've got that trust with fair many people. They're not going to make, if you give them authority to make changes to these documents, trust that there'll be editorial changes and not substantive changes. They would say, wait a second, I would disagree with that. And in any case, you'll have an opportunity that if you thought that somebody crossed the line and they said, wait, that means a policy change here, you'd always have the opportunity to object later and come back with it. But my thought is that the purpose of today is that we can discuss the general issues that are at stake, the substantive issues that you may have issue with, and say, I think the process should be like this and not like that, and then leave it to the drafting committee to make those editorial changes. And why? Because we won't be back here for another year, and we got to get this approved, upstairs. And the only way for that to happen is to let the committee make these changes within the next, few weeks or however, and then pump it upstairs so that next year we're back here, we can have an official document, we can have additional time to comment or object to it. So, my motion would be to vest the drafting committee for both bylaws as well as the provincial directory with authority to make non-substantive editorial changes at its discretion.
So what we call in the law clerical errors. Is that?
Clerical errors.
It's more than clerical errors.
I've got lots. But I'm just saying editorial.
I say it.
Leave it at that.
I second it.
Second, Sharon seconds. Is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, is there any objection to that? Seeing none, hearing none, is so passed.
May I say something about that? If you're really good at editorializing things, like finding missing E's and commas, then please do tell us, because we can't see everything. And then we'll be able to change something.
And he has done that. That's really good.
Tony,
And I encourage that. You can put that kind of stuff up to my attention up here. I'll take it to heart. And treat it as David has expressed it. I think that's very well said, by the way. Okay. Question. Who has a question? Julie.
I have a question, not from me personally, but from my chapter.
Great.
My prior asked me to ask you why it was necessary for there to be an oath of office.
Oh, this is part of the bylaws. The oath of office isn't in the bylaws.
It's on the back page of the bylaws, Appendix A. But if I'm in the wrong section, then.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay, yeah, I remember putting it into the PDF. I didn't put it in there.
This comes out of the Mission Diocese of Baker, Baker City, Oregon. And to give you a little history of this is in our bylaws in our chapter in Boise. And if you assume an office, you want to live the faith, an affirmation of faith, and what this would require is, what it does require in our chapter is someone just put their name on it, and they affirm that they'll live accordingly. If, which happens from time to time, they walk off the dock and leave, we can get rid of them. But this creates an objective method by doing that. The other objective is, because we've had that issue, the other objective here is to keep, I'm going to just say it, is to make sure that the officers that take office in are orthodox. And they're not misadventuring into the wanderlust of ideological or political ideology. Right. So what we're trying to do is keep this on focus, and this is a method by which the LPC can take a measuring stick and say, John is off the mark, goodbye. That's what it's doing. It's kind of a measuring stick. And when you don't have those measuring sticks, so to speak, I use that with quotes around it, then it becomes your opinion as to when they're off the mark.
Right.
Okay? What we need is objective standards so that we're not judging them based upon their opinion. We're doing it based upon facts. It's very important. That's what separates the rule of law from opinion. Logan.
I assume, from what I heard Father Augustine say, did you include these affirmations in particular?
In the PD? Yeah, I remember doing that part.
So how did you specifically how did you select the paragraphs of the catechism that you wanted to be able to?
I think they just used the Diocese of Baker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What was going on in Baker, this goes back 15 years. The Bishop of Orange, I think, is the former diocesan bishop of Baker City, which is a missionary diocese. What my understanding of the history is he was running into people who had been there a long time and were just teaching kids what their current mode or fixation was, not the faith. And I don't know why people do that. We possess ourselves sometimes of error, but he said this, if you stay to this, you're fine. If you're not, then you're no longer with us.
Okay, so it was a bishop's decision.
Yeah, that's why I included it, because it was bishopric authority upon which instead of my own personal opinion, it was somebody actually using it effectively.
Vasa, who's in Santa Rosa.
What's his name?
Vasa?
Vasa, it was Vasa, yeah.
Bishop Massa, B-A-S-S?
He's in Santa Rosa now.
He is in Victoria.
Oh, D-A-S-S.
He was an excellent bishop. He's next to Boise, and sometimes I just go to his mass, drive across the border, and he'd go to Nissa, which is a small town, and his homilies, his mass was fantastic. I had a very high opinion of him. I haven't seen him since, but he actually had coffee with us.
Let me just underline that I personally have no objection, I just would ask that question.
No, I appreciate that.
But some of my folks are a little nervous because they teach school and they're like, am I is this gonna?
No, this
affect
doesn't
me?
apply to them. Yeah, this does not apply to them. If they take office up here on this bench,
That's
it
what I'm trying
applies to them. Does it apply to you or no?
Right,
Unless your chapter applies it to you.
right.
Should it apply? Probably, I don't know, but that's not the measure here.
Right.
It says each officer of the executive council shall take the Catholic definition.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you.
I have also a couple of questions also from my group.
I did.
Basically, it's just tax, okay?
Great.
So in Article 2, under General Powers, right there.
Yes.
She just wants to clarify the board of directors of the corporation. Is that the LPC fraternity reps?
Now that's a great question. So we're looking at, let's see, you're looking at Article 2, Section 1?
Section 1.
Third sentence down, thank you. All corporate powers should be exercised by and in authority of and the affairs of the corporation managed.
The third sentence down from Article 2.
The board of directors.
Okay, the board of directors of the corporation shall be known as the Lay Provincial Council. Chapter.
Is that us?
Yes.
Yeah, that's you.
And then just
Sorry, really quick, in the very first paragraph, you define LPC as the provincial council.
Yeah, that's going to change.
And then the provincial chapter later on.
Yeah, I appreciate these marks. Why not a secretary?
So which one is it?
It's chapter. Everything's going to be changed to chapter under the motion that was approved. I'm sorry? Somebody say something. Sharon, did you say anything?
I thought it was to be changed to council.
It is already council.
It is already council. Okay, so now it's gonna be chapter?
This meeting is a chapter of all the chapters
Right.
in
Okay,
that
got it.
classical sense of the meaning.
All right.
Thank you for the clarity.
and then one, under Article 3,
Article 3,
section subsection 2, under F, like
F?
blank.
Okay. To propose an official budget, goals, priorities, objectives, and policies of the corporation at the annual LPC, subject to the LPC's review and adoption of such by resolution on a periodic basis. Now, go ahead.
So the question, because it talks about an audit,
On a periodic basis determined by the LPC, the Executive Council shall make by resolution an audit of all its accounts, books, and minutes of the corporation and its committees. Said audit should be completed within 5 months of the close of the corporate year.
right? I guess the question is the audit done by an outside agency?
Yes, or by a committee of the LPC. Now, where this comes from, first of all, I can see the error in this. To propose an official budget, goals, objectives, priorities, policy of the corporation at annual LPC. Yeah, that's making it subject to the LPC's review. So that's something I'll circle for that editorial authority. What this is survives somewhat civil form. Actually, it's my form for corporations to some extent, although it's radically changed. But corporations often are subject to audit to keep it objective and out of the hands of those. And this paragraph survived that form, so it's used here. It's used here, and it says upon the call of the LPC. So if the LPC wants an audit done, then it can. That's you guys, or all of us together. Does that make sense?
So the audit's done by us?
No, it would be
Outside.
by resolution, authorized by you, and be done under your authority. Local.
Just a quibble then. So how would the LPC pay for an external auditor?
Well, that's part of the reason why it's at their discretion. Some corporations require an audit every year, some corporations every 5 years, and this just says periodic. So when there's money, we got it, we can get it done.
Could there be language added to not to exceed a certain amount of time?
Absolutely. The motion on the floor is to adopt, but you can amend the motion to say, to add some language. Something like a minimum of every 5 years or every 3 years or something like that.
It should happen before, maybe before the next elections for president.
Oh, definitely.
Good idea. David?
John, my understanding of a 501c3 is that we go into business with the IRS. Can they, at any point, require an audit
Yeah,
before we require one?
Yes, yes. That's why you keep accurate books.
I
That's what the
understand,
purpose of an audit is.
But is there a time frame that they have when they typically would request an audit?
It's called when. Our corporation, and I know the chapter's been incorporated since 2001, has never had an audit. But it's not until you meet 50,000 or more in annual income that what you do is you file this very simple post, effectively is filed online now, but it's like a postcard filing. It says, I promise we did not make more than 50,000 last year, or in donations. We don't make that kind of money, so we can. Once it hits 50,000.
We don't require an audit from them right now because of our income.
The danger of audit, of IRS audit, is of no fear when things are done correctly. Like, here it is, take it, at least here's your copies. And then they do what they're going to do. It doesn't happen very often, no. We never had it done in Idaho. I anticipate that it could, once it hits 50,000, then you start reporting, it's a simple 990 when you're less than, and it's an N990, I think is what they call it. It's still a simple form. I think it's when you hit 250 or something like that, maybe somebody knows here, then you file this really complicated 990, and it's about 20 pages long. But that's when you pay somebody to do it. When you're making that kind of money, you write somebody a check to do the reporting for you. Okay,
So are we gonna add that language that
well,
follows?
let's make a motion, we'll do it.
Oh,
The way it might be to say,
I was thinking whenever a new president is elected at his or her discretion,
okay, where do you want to plug that in? What,
that would be F. I mean, not F, yeah, it would be F. Article 3, F.
Article 3, Section F, would just say, at the time of election of the new president, is that it?
Yeah, so, yeah, but it would be at his discretion, so that it doesn't have to be done, no, but it could be done at their discretion.
Well, it doesn't really change anything.
Yeah, it doesn't. That implies there's a timeline.
Well, she made a motion, is there a second for discussion?
Yeah.
There's no second. No second, motion does not, it fails. Go back to the original motion to adopt. I will entertain any other wording, Sharon, or anyone else as to that. Okay. Question then, are there any other discussions, questions, or comments?
Well, actually, it does change because it's saying that when and if a new president is elected. Right now, it's just broad, it doesn't say anything. So by adding the language, a new president is elected, they have the discretion.
Okay, so I considered that a renewed motion.
Yeah, it is a
Refreshed
motion,
one.
because
Is
it's
there a
not the
second?
same thing.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Second? Who said that? Okay, Joe?
Joseph Conlon.
And so is there any discussion on that amended motion?
There is a statement here that audit shall be completed within 5 months of the close of the corporate fiscal year.
So that would replace that language.
No, it didn't.
That's if it is.
I don't think that changes anything, as if the audit is done, then it should be done with the,
I think the wording should be, on the second sentence, it says on a periodic basis, or at least upon the new election.
okay, hold on to that thought just a moment.
Okay. That would be the second sentence. Yes, I got it. I got it.
Or at the very least, at the time of the new election.
Well, you would have to assure a budget.
Okay, so it would read, Sharon's motion would read, second sentence, on a periodic basis, or upon the election of a new president, upon the, what was your word you used? Upon his or her election. Hold on just a second.
So whenever a new president is elected at his or her discretion.
Discretion. You knew there was
But the problem is if it's at his discretion, then it's still on a periodic basis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
periodic basis is defined now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but periodic is defined.
It's true, we don't have language to say how we call it right now. Right now, it has to be a motion.
Right, we have a motion on the table. The motion is to add this language.
No, but he's saying that if the president wasn't there, he's saying that then it's just, whenever someone wants to call it.
Well, then
And
okay.
now we have a way of
Right.
bringing it up.
Yeah, and on a periodic basis would be based upon the LPC. Go ahead, Dave.
I think we're making a limitation by establishing a condition. There is no limitation, and you're just better off just eliminating the first clause. So you don't have to say on a periodic basis, you just begin with the executive council shall make by resolution, not of his council, there's complete discretion in how the resolution is made, whether you want it by outside agency or internal, or before the president's elected, or after he's elected, or whether you care or not. Just keep, the more open-ended, the more discretion you have, the better.
So in other words, say it to say, as shall be determined by the LPC, the executive council shall make by resolution an audit of all its accounts, books, and minutes of the corporation and its committees.
Then you got discretion to do whatever you want.
So that means, what, are you withdrawing? your
Yeah,
motion?
I'll withdraw it.
Okay, so then I would consider the motion to mean to take out the term on a periodic basis and just the term periodic basis and just go with as shall be determined by the LPC. Am I right?
And that clause, what shall be determined by the LPC.
So the motion's been withdrawn. Does Joseph withdraw the second? Okay, we're free. You've got a motion on the table. And is there a second to amend it accordingly? Second. Any objection? Seeing none, the amendment is made. Okay, anyone else? That's good stuff. Any other motions? Any discussion as to its adoption?
May I ask a question?
Oh, of course.
I don't understand these things. Tax returns, do we do tax returns?
Yes. Which article are you talking about?
6.
6. Fiscal year shall commence on August 1 through July 31st. Within 5.5 months of the close of the fiscal year, or such date as the IRS shall promulgate, the Executive Council shall cause the filing of appropriate tax returns. 5 months is now the standard. So at the end of your fiscal year, 5 months.
I didn't know we did tax.
Do we have to file one?
Yeah.
Oh,
So then July 31st, you'll change that.
Yeah. What that means is that as long as our income is below 50,000, we're good.
okay.
It's a simple postcard filing electronically. And the president every year is going to be responsible to make sure that gets filed, or we'll lose our classification after 3 failed years.
To help with the treasurer.
Yeah, to help with the treasurer. Okay, any other questions? That's a good one. Okay. Okay, call for a vote on it. Is there any objection to passage of this bylaws? As is, as amended? Seeing none, they are so adopted.
Yay!
Thank you. Now we have the fun part.
Dave,
Yes, Logan?
Service, I saw, oh, wait, no, never mind.
Okay. Now, I want to say up front, I don't want to run over the top of anyone. So if you have a question or a motion, get your hand up, and you can slap me across the back of the head after me. Vic?
I'm sorry, I want to backtrack just slightly for a sec. My chapter wants to know, do we need to do anything locally in terms of being a nonprofit?
No.
No, okay.
That is a great question, Vic, because the corporate nonprofit status does not apply to the chapter or chapters. You have to go get your own.
But should we do that?
That's a whole nother discussion, and what we need to do is have coffee.
Okay.
Francesca?
Just because I'm passionate about it, but it says here formation, commission, and then particular directory, so we're gonna talk about that.
Oh, you're going back to the law again, okay. The agenda, I'm sorry. I think it's good to do that. What we're talking about there, the Formation Commission, is last year we passed a resolution to create the Formation Commission. For various reasons, we'll just leave, the commission expired today. So we need a renewed commission. The EC talked about this 2 days ago. Is that 2 days ago? 2 days ago we talked about this, and what we'd like to do, yesterday. Okay. Anyway. So it's just an idea, but what the EC talked about was a couple things. Extending the commission to another year, because we can only extend 1 year at a time because of the legislative nature of the LPC. So 1 more year, create a smaller commission, and elect a formation promoter. And the reason why I want to do that is because what got lost is I had this big brain idea of having 2 commissions that kind of work in 2 tracks. The particular directory commission was off and running, went real well, but the Formation Commission needed somebody who was kind of hammering it through. That, I thought, I couldn't get anybody to agree to chair it, and it fell to me, and I'm insanely busy. And part of it, and that's part of it, the other thing is it's the lack of focus on what we need to get done. And that's probably partly my failure. It's no doubt about that, but there's only so much things I can do. So by reducing, there's currently 8 people on the commission plus 2 friars, including our dear promoter. So what we want to do is talk about reducing it to 4 plus our promoter and 1 friar. So that, because the reason why, because the PD had 4 people involved, 5 with David, and Vicky, and Brian, and Father Augustine, and myself periodically, and it seemed to kind of get through, but we had an objective. So that's what we're thinking. Now, this is the odd part, because what we'd like to do, it was somebody's idea, I don't remember who brought it up, which chapter did, but is to add a formation promoter onto the EC. So it'd become a 6th position on the EC, on the lay side of it anyway. And that person is going to, kind of get us going on formation and creating a new formation program. That person will not be a director. They're not going to walk into your chapter and say, you're following this one or nothing. That person is going to be an encouragement, a resource, and help work and keep it focused. That's what that role will be. I will not tolerate any of us going into a chapter hammering away about what should or should not be done. And some of that comes from my experience in prior EC, to be honest with you. That said, that's what we would like to do. And that's inside the PD, so this kind of folds over into the PD. So what we need to now, thank you for raising the question, Francesca, is a motion to extend the commission for 1 year, reduce the number of commissioners to 4 lay people from the LPC, plus 2 friars, including our promoter.
Motion.
Does the lay people have to be LPC first?
No, they don't. Is there a motion to that effect?
Motion.
David moved. You have that, Alejandra? She's getting it.
Second.
Second by who? You were first? Okay.
Who's second?
Carrie. Any discussion on that? Frank?
Question for the chair. Madam Chair, do you want the number of lay people reduced, the number of LPC reps reduced?
That's who.
What?
Do you want the number of lay people reduced?
Yes.
From 8 to 4.
Oh, from 4. Yeah, I think 4 is better.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further discussion, questions? Logan?
So, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm horrible at math. So we have the 4 people from the LPC. We have Father Highlander here. We have, that's 5, and we have a friar. And then we have the formation director. So, okay, I'm right. That's
That actually would be 4 lay people.
Okay.
Father Augustine. Actually got that right. And number 6 is another friar.
So
And
not,
the 4 lay people, one of them would be the promoter.
Yeah, one of them's.
We don't know who those 4 are going to be, but one of them's going to be the promoter.
is
One of
that,
the 4 would be the representative?
Yeah.
One of those 4 would be there.
so in that case, if that doesn't mean a number, are we, how will you settle ties and decisions among that group?
That would be referred to the EC.
Because they're just a committee.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And actually, the LPC president is the ex-official member of the committee.
Excellent. Thank you for pointing that out.
Thank you, Logan. Great question. Somebody have anything else? Okay, the question is, should we adopt the resolution? Are there any objections to it? No objections, hearing none, the resolution is passed. We have a new formation commission, 4 members, and Father Augustine and another friar, and I will be ex officio and refer things to the EC. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
One of the things, just as a footnote, is until we move to the PD, is, you know, if you have ideas, get them to me, especially this weekend. If you have ideas, if you want to serve, you know, I'd love to see, Francesca, I'm just going to be honest with you. I'd just love to have you.
I want to be honest.
Okay. And our own, you know, Alana. And I'm prejudiced on that, but the point is, my ears are wide open as to have ideas and if you want to serve. But when you come to me and say, I want to serve, I'm expecting work get done. So be honest with yourself, more importantly than anyone else. Can you do it and do you want to do it? Alana?
I would really like to walk away from this meeting with a goal.
Okay. Do you have an idea? More accurately, I'm just saying, a way to facilitate. Do you have a motion for a vision for the formation goals? Yeah, this is a great idea.
Okay, I'd like to move to create a goal for the Formation Commission to work towards.
Okay.
Can you repeat that?
I have a motion to create a goal for us to create a goal for the Formation Commission to act towards.
Okay, is there a second on that motion?
Towards.
Okay, second by David.
So we know
And
what we're doing.
so it's open for discussion. Let's discuss the goal for the commission. So obviously, the practical side, the material side is to create a formation program. Dory?
I think what I have to say comes under this. Our particular one, which I really like, by the way, I'm a formation director and not the LPC. The Eastern Province has a totally different one. And I'm wondering, and I don't know the history, how was that decided? How is it that they have such a totally different one from ours?
I came from and I can answer that question to some extent, because I came out of the Eastern Province. I'm born and raised in Idaho, but I worked back there for a few years. That's how I came to New Order. How do they do it? They have an incredible collegiate resources. They come out of the Catholic University of America, the scholars that attend the Basilica, and the DHS in DC. They're just literally hundreds of people that they can access resources. So that's one of the ways. And some of the chief places where they're located, such as in Providence, Rhode Island, and others, there are key priorities where there's major think tanks, and for lack of a better word, let me think, mental banks, where they get involved. When I was back there, been about 30 years, they had an incredible formation program. That's just where it comes from.
So there's no connection between
There is no
the
connection.
provinces as
No.
to what formation is.
Now, to be honest with you, if you were to go on Idaho's website, I have we bought and have online their first year temporary professed program on there, and we're accessing them and using it in our chapter. Logan?
When you say first year professed, you mean for those who have just become professed?
Correct.
Right.
Temporary.
Francesca?
I've done a lot of research on this, and I wrote a program for our chapter, which needs to be, I just did it out of desperation. But the Southern Province has a wonderful program. They have booklets. I looked at the Eastern Novitiate and Postulate. I have it, Alana has it. If you want to look at them tonight, they're there. Personally, no disrespect, but I am not impressed with any of those booklets. I think, and I respectfully ask Alana to I don't know the wording, to have a different motion. My idea is to ask for what do people think we should include. I mean, this would be the object of what you're asking. Is what should we include? What do chapters believe or council believe that the people should know within the first 2 years. What are the basic stuff? That's why we got stuck. We did not know what we were supposed to be talking about.
Well, that's fair. I'm not sure we got stuck for that reason. It's possible.
That's one of the reasons.
But looking back at it, there are a lot of reasons, but one of the things, instead of walking back, let's look forward.
Yes.
It's a legitimate observation. My problem with, the committee itself can send out samples or whatever and ask people things, but we need to get going on this. And part of that is a resource like you. You are a resource because you've done so much work and you've seen the others and read them and viewed them. And you can reflect profound. The second observation, there's literally objective things that we need to be looking at. The pillars that are inside the rule. The rule says you shall look at these pillars. Our PD says that too. So there's already this baseline that we will not dive below. So we got to come up and then build on that. So it's not a matter of sampling, it's a matter of looking at the resources that are there. Some of it is sampling and getting approval. Okay?
Since you've looked at both the eastern and the southern, have you looked at the central one too?
There's nothing.
Oh.
Nothing available to us. I don't know where it is, but I couldn't
They're
find
doing
it.
they're doing their own right now.
Yeah, they're working on it
I
now.
did, yeah, so I don't, so they don't have
Taking
anything.
bits and pieces and then make our.
That's the question, like, what is the actual goal?
Yeah.
That's why, like, can we please come up with a goal so we know when the people who are on the commission come back, know if they
That's good.
succeeded or not?
Gary.
So basically what you're saying is you want a scope and sequence. At the end of possible year, your postulate should be able to say or decide or know how to create an office or whatever. You want that listed.
Yes.
That's
That's what we need to know, because some chapters are doing one thing, and some
Yes.
chapters are doing something else. And if I look at the Eastern, they're doing something, and there's no, like, some of them are more solid than others, but it's just it's willy-nilly at this point. And I think if, she and I are coming at this problem the same way, but I kind of don't want to say to these people here that they have to come up with this, or where are we going to get this information?
No,
How are we
just
gonna
like,
get-
what does success look like?
But who's going to determine?
Well, I think part of this is an internal commission discussion.
Yes.
You're crossing over that
Okay.
area. And they're also we can hear people. I'm not against hearing people. We have time. But it's still not something subject to the LPC. You need to make some decisions and then present.
Present, okay.
And I think and part of it is don't reinvent the wheel.
Right.
But yeah, and that's what I hear you saying is let's go look at these resources and pull them in where we can. And so let's do that. But we need people with the discipline to go do that, or the time. And you have that more accurately, the time, and you have experience. So that's valued. And anybody who wants the will to do it has never done it. I'd like to see them involved too. But this is a task that needs to be looked at. And we as a committee can't do it successfully. And I walked into that wall like a naive, I can't believe how naive it was. It's still a problem. Just a second, David. So the goal, as I view it, and we have a motion as to a goal, and it's been accepted. The goal for me would be the development, the research, development, and the final draft of a formation program for postulants and novices to get started for this first year. If you accomplish that goal before the end of the year, then report to the EC and we'll get you started on the next leg.
So I guess I'm going to reformulate this question that Alana has, which is, next year, what do you want to see?
Like the base of, are we writing a whole new formation program by next year?
That's the question.
Are we
What do you want to
gathering-
see next year?
Are we gathering resources for
Well,
then writing a new one? Like, those are two different things.
I think she
she's asking for the scope of practice.
Yeah.
And she's not getting the scope of practice, so you
Yes,
have
yes,
to give
Mark.
her, okay, I have an idea.
Let me turn to David and then we'll turn to Francesca. Good point.
Beyond just establishing a goal, you have to establish a process of benchmarks as to how you're going to accomplish that goal. In other words, put a timeline. If you have a specific goal that you want to accomplish, and you have incremental steps to reach that goal, establish a timeline as to when each of those steps are to be completed. That keeps you
My goal
on
right now
task.
is to understand.
But that keeps you on task.
Well,
That's for the committee to think.
That's for that function is the commission. Yes, that's exactly right.
Okay,
Francesca,
I
good idea.
think that what I can gather from what people say and from what I've heard other people say to me is that maybe from the commission, we can make a list of what we think are the basics and send it out to everyone to see if there's any additions, cuts, and all that kind of thing. And then bring it back and then start, and we'll have a timeline for all that. And then that way we can start collecting materials, getting ideas from people. I've heard several today, and then come up with something. But I think maybe we as the four and the two others can just sit down and say, well, we think these are, from what I've seen, I think these are the things that we need to know.
Okay.
And then send it out.
All right, I love that. And is that something is that expressive of your goal? Suzanne?
Will they be using the formation program that's already existing? We have an existing formation.
We do, and possibly.
It's a
The answer to the question is possibly, if that's within, if they believe that's the resource.
No.
Well, I don't think they scrap the principles. They could scrap the verbiage.
So here's one thing, you can't scrap a formation program that you're not gonna replace yet. So that formation program's always gonna be in place until we say, here's the new formation program. So right now, we're not even thinking about
And
that.
it won't be taken away, it will actually go into the archives. We won't, there is an archives in the new website, and we'll put it there once things are put aside. Or it'll be just an old, called the old formation program.
So it's going to be a suggested new.
Yes. That's a really good question. Did you have one to make?
Well, no, I think this is getting away though from what
Yeah.
Francesca's saying.
No, I think, and this is what you're stepping into is a commission function. One thing I want to know, as far as policy, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm sure I reflect most of this EC, and I say this formation program is a resource. It's not a sword. You shall do this. It's here, this is a resource for your chapter to use. Your formation director still has discretion, your council still has discretion, your chaplains. We just want an enriched formation program that is a resource to the chapters. They want it to use it because it's good. Not because the president's standing up here or any group of us, we're being told to use this and we're going, that ain't gonna happen.
One way to present would be, see, this is a suggested format for your formation.
Well, that's precisely what we're saying.
Well, in two words.
If it's good enough, people will want to use it.
So that means that it's to my discretion what I want to teach.
No, it's up to your chapter. And,
So
that's
how does that work?
Okay,
Like,
well-
I tell my private
well-
what I want to do, and then she says, go ahead and do it.
That's fine to
No,
eliminate.
I need to understand.
Okay, no, that's a fair question. It's more than fair. It's very intensely practical. The thing that is you stick to the format of what it means to be formation. In other words, first year, you got your pillars, you have the history of St. Dominic, you have the basics of St. Dominic, and at the end of the year, they're pretty strong basics, right? And there's a little bit of leeway in that, and that's what I'm talking about. And that's where the commission, it's when you get into the lengthy formation or elder formation, third year, fourth year, fifth year, that's where it's great discretion comes in. Joseph?
It sounds like what we need is a table, if you will. One column will be expressions or criteria that would include the pillars, Dominica, scripture. Another column would be first year formation. Bullet marks would be, these are the things you must know or have available to you in your first year. These are things that would be nice to know, but not necessarily in your first year. Second column would be second year formation. These are the things that you would need to know by the end of your second year. Again, some other things that would be nice to know. Again, so that you would cross the different years. Again, into the third year, fourth year, fifth year formation, however it goes.
That's a very good way to put it.
Then, with having established those criteria, that the formation director could look at a particular program and see, does this program satisfy the criteria in this table? Or what portions do I need to augment if it doesn't quite fit? Where might I need to add or subtract? That way you can have different manifestations of that formation program, but you at least have a standard by which you can, for this province, these are the things that we would like you to know, however you get there.
Very good, Joseph. Thank you. Did you get all that down, Francesca?
She is, so weird, notes away.
Okay. That's the practical side of it. Have we expressed a goal here?
I think a goal would be establishing that table, if you will,
All right.
and the timeline for when those things are to be done.
And Francesca took careful notes, so any further discussion on the goal with regard to that? Any questions about it?
I think we'll be able to succeed if we have what everybody wants.
This is what we're going to look at next year.
Yes.
Yeah. If you accomplish that and you get that to the EC and they're saying keep going, then move on to the next step. So now there's no limits on that goal. Does that make sense?
That means then you're saying that the EC, a committee, has the power to tell you where the next goal is going to be.
Yes, and I think it's already inherent. That's just.
When would you like the committee to be formed?
Straight away.
Because we're all going back, so.
Well, tonight on the agenda, those who are interested, there is a gathering at 7:30 of formation directors, formation commission, and interested parties in here. It's an informal discussion. I'll come in, I will get the meeting started, and then I'll turn it over to those who want to run it.
But what I'm saying is that there's people back in our chapters that may be interested in being part of
The commission.
Yeah.
That decision will probably be made today as to who's on the commission.
Okay. Because she had asked, does it have to be someone here at the LPC, and you said no. That's why I'm asking.
Say that.
Do you have to be LPC?
No, you don't.
Okay, then I'm listening.
That's the same answer. You don't have to be here to be on the commission.
Yeah, it's the same answer.
So there's only two places really everything.
Right.
3.
No. Well, 2 of the, for the lady, because you and the friar.
No. There are 4 lay positions.
These 2 are 2 of them.
So then there's
Yeah.
only two.
No, it hasn't been decided who's on it.
Yeah.
Well,
We have-
yeah.
We haven't made that appointment yet, but we have a very clear idea.
She's like, I decided.
Does anyone in this room want to be on that commission?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Outside of Francesca and Alana, who I'm seriously contemplating appointing at this time.
No pressure. No pressure.
Does anybody? Alejandro? Yes, you? Okay.
You got somebody back here?
I'm sorry, Abby.
Maybe I missed it, but can you describe what the formation promoter would do?
Yes. Okay, no, that's a good question. The formation promoter, once appointed, will be the person responsible to the EC for the gathering and research and putting together an outline as to the formation program of postulant and novitiate year formation programs, and submit that to the EC at the end of their discussion.
So it's
How they do that might be different, sorry.
It's on page 23. Sorry.
Oh, what number? So,
Provincial formation.
yeah, and it says at page 23, it says that supervises as a resource for formation material and assists fraternities with implementing postulant and novice formation, and encourages chapters to follow any ongoing formation plan adopted by the later mentioned chapter. Keep in mind, this is the proposed PD. It's not in there now. This is a whole new position. And we want to call it Provincial Formation Promoter, not Officer. And that person will do this, but they will be a part of the commission. And that person will report to the EC directly. Actually, they will be on the EC once this PD, if this PD gets adopted.
So,
Logan, yes?
John, I'm sorry, we've gotten quite a few different trains of thought right now, and I don't know which one I'm following. Have we gotten the goal first? So I think we have, but we never actually said we voted on it yet. And now we're talking about people, so I'd rather get back to the goal section rather than talking about people.
I agree, we're back. Okay.
And
Logan?
one last thing, before we actually do start talking about people, we should ratify the particular directory, which defines one role of those people.
No, because it won't go into effect until the PD has been approved by the master. So the motion now in front of us is regarding to what to do in the interim for the next year.
Understood.
That's where we're headed, because we don't have authority beyond that. Good question, just to proceed here. So the goal is the accumulation of resources and information to the creation of an outline for first year, rather I should say postulant and novice years of formation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Did you get that down? And are there any objection to that statement as to a goal for the commission this year? All right. Hearing none, then that's what it is. Any objection to, I think, go ahead. Did you have some?
What's the goal?
Okay.
That was, my goal was to know what you guys wanted. So it completes the goal of my goal. There's an aim for the commission, and that's what's.
So I think, if I'm correct, the commission is created. There's 4 people on it plus 2. And we will now, I will appoint, I'm going to approach certain people first, make sure I get their nod. And other than that, I think we're done on that, are we? Everybody agree? Anything else lingering? Rinku?
Alejandro, would you read back the wording of our goal? How did we state it?
Motion to create the goal of creating an outline for postulant and novice years of formation.
Okay. Is it, what if we said something like that, the goal of the commission, of this commission is to create a curriculum for the postulants and novices for the first 2 years, and also to identify pre-existing resources that are useful to that end, something like that?
Yeah, that's a really good suggestion, Rinku, but that's really a function of the commission itself.
Okay.
You're getting into the definition of the commission. Great point, and their ears are open.
Okay.
But I don't want to get into that area. Good point. Anything else? Thank you for bringing that. Hearing none. Calvin.
You started to ask for volunteers. Were you going to continue down that line now that we have the motion passed?
Yes, I'm open to that, very much so. Go ahead. Is any volunteers that want to serve? Nick?
Yeah.
You? Let me get your names down. Hold on. Anyone else? Sharon? Richie? You guys are really okay. Anyone else? This is great. Alana?
Right, well, you said besides us, you should. So is your hand?
I've got your name down. I'm sorry. Francesca? Anyone else? Julie, sorry. I've got you down. Now what happens is if you don't make it on the commission, because we have now more than 4, it'll be,
They can always review it.
they can always review it. There'll be a contact and a resource. That's what we did last year, but it got unwieldy.
I don't
Yes.
think that's a great idea. I think the smaller this commission is, the more work it's gonna get done,
Okay.
and the further along you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Because the more people you get, especially Dominicans, the more. The
problem is, if you have Dominicans, too many, they're gonna end up in a bar.
And any decisions, so, you know,
Okay.
we're gonna make distinctions till the end of time.
Wisdom.
And we'll do that.
So keep it very small. And
We'll do
have,
that.
You know, have
And
some
if
decisive-
you don't make it on the commission, just know that it's
Exactly.
because.
We thank you for your volunteer.
That's great, that's great.
Dory?
I hate to add a person, but our actual person, Cheryl, she's the chancellor of the diocese. I have no idea whether she wants to do it, but that's a very good resource.
Yeah,
and I just-
Which diocese are you in?
Fresno.
Fresno.
Is she retiring or something?
She
retiring for something.
She's going to retire this year.
Okay, I got names down. Any other nominations? I'm really impressed with the number of people, but anyway, we'll get back to everyone.
Did you get Joseph's name?
Pardon?
Did you get Joseph's name?
Oh, Joseph, did you have your hand up?
Just like we volunteer.
Yeah. The voluntold.
Yeah. Joseph, you didn't have your hand up. I want to make this clear. You did.
Put my hand up.
You did? Oh, okay.
You're correct.
All right. 9 people. Okay. All right. This is wonderful. Okay, we're done with that part. Unless there's some other comment or question, we'll move on.
And of course, we're meeting again at 7:30 tonight.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, okay, now we go to the PD. And this, I'm going to explain what we're going to do. It will not be drudgery. Or maybe we should take a break.
Do what?
Take a 15-minute break. We'll be back in your seats at 3 o'clock. But according to that clock, 3 o'clock is 17 minutes away. So you've got 17 minutes to have fun. No, everybody's.
How you doing, Tim? How you doing?
Dominus vobiscum, et consiglium benedicamus Domino,